I want to start with an old Zen story, early Zen, like almost Taoist, early Zen story. And I'm going to I think in my book I went with Satya as the name of the character of this story. I kind of named her that. And, but it is based, it's kind of a retelling of a really old story. And so Satya is, she's in an old Zen culture, and she has this superpower. She's able to clear clouds. She's able to, we could call it cloud bursting. She's able to clear clouds from the sky with her mind. So every morning, Satya wakes up, and she just clears the clouds away with her mind. And then she's left with this beautiful, pristine clarity in perfect sun. The sun is just perfect. It's a perfectly blue sky day, and she can see everything perfectly clearly, see things as they are, and everything is happy. And this goes on years and years, right? And then one day there's these really cool clouds, these like reflecting rainbow light clouds. And she's like, wow, those are just so cool. And she's like, maybe it would be cool to just leave them there for a while, and so I can see them. And then, later on I'll clear them, and it's cool. And so it turns out, they're there all day, and they make a cool sunset, and she just never clears them, and it's fine. The next morning, there's these big, puffy, kind of cumulus clouds there, and those are they're making different shapes, and she's like, those are really cool too. I think I'll leave them there for a while. And so she leaves those there, and thinks nothing of it, and they're there for the rest of the day. And so then the practice kind of changes where, she clears maybe most of the clouds, but then, the cool ones she lets there, and this goes on for a while. And as time goes on, she's leaving more and more clouds. And some days it's actually cloudy, right? It's like it's not even a sunny day. And she's like, she's not worried about it because she can always clear them. She knows that. And so over time, these clouds get thicker and thicker. And after a while, she just lets go of the practice of clearing the clouds altogether. And they just get a little thicker and there's like an infinitesimal amount, right? It's, she can't even notice day to day that they're a little thicker and it's a little darker. There's a little less light. She can't really notice that, but every day it gets a little thicker, many more moons go by, and pretty soon she can't see the sun anymore. She just doesn't even see the sun. So it just goes for months without seeing the sun, and it's just cloudier and cloudier. And then one day she wakes up, and she forgets that the sun was ever there. So that's the end of the story. And there's been variations of this. There's like quotes and stuff. When I wrote my book, I was looking for quotes, but I didn't dig any out today. But the idea is just because it's cloudy, the sun is always there. Okay, you may not always be able to see it. If it's nighttime, the sun is still there. It might be on the other side of the world, but it's still there. If it's really, really cloudy, if it's rainy, if it's storming, the sun is still there, even if you can't see it. So the metaphor here that I'm going to go with for this blog anyway is the sun is like our connection to life. Okay, it's our connection to spirit, our connection to all of creation. And so when we get in a rough place, we might be activated by something or down, or we got some type of crisis going on in our life, or we're really busy, we may forget that the sun is there. It doesn't feel like the sun is there. I used to see this a lot when I still do, when people do ceremony. It's like when we do ceremony, you'd remember your connection. We do it, say, every summer solstice, and we still do those. And I remember every summer for a while, it'd be about the second day of ceremony, and I'd be sitting in the medicine wheel, and I'd just start bawling because I had forgotten the deep connection, and I had forgotten it, And so this happens. And so just because we've forgotten that connection to life is there, it doesn't mean that it's not there. Okay. And it has implications too for a spiritual practice. So rather than creating a connection to life, which is maybe a little silly or a little arrogant to think that we're creating our connection to life. I mean, it feels like that though, right? Sometimes rather than creating our connection, the connection is already there. Okay, it's just obscured by clouds. It just, in the clouds are what are the clouds? They're fears, they're false beliefs, they're thoughts. There's believing that we don't deserve whatever beauty, or there's all these things, and our conditioning. Okay, and that, you know, also there's the metaphor of the layers of the onion, right? So then the spiritual work doesn't. We don't have to create the connection. We can just remove the barriers. We can just remove the illusions, and then the sun will naturally shine through. But really good to remember, because we cycle. As we go around the medicine wheel and we cycle, there are going to be times, natural times, on the medicine wheel where we're very connected to life. You know, we're just like very connected and it's clear and we just feel. And then there's other times, and it doesn't mean we're doing something wrong. There's other times in our process that we're triggered, or we're activated, or we're in a difficult place, or we're really sad, or, you know, and then we can't see the sun as much. Okay, but it's really cool to know that the sun is there and I just can't see it right now. My connection is here, but I just can't access it right now. And some of that will naturally pass as we move around the medicine wheel. You know, sometimes we may need to work with ourselves. If we've been activated, we can get ourselves back in our body and that type of stuff. We can do things, we can do spiritual practices, meditation or ceremony or Tai Chi to get back, you know, and we can do it. But some of it's just natural. We move through cycles where it's really clear and then it's kind of confused and cloudy and unknown, and then it's really clear. But the sun is always there. If we just if we remember the sun is always there, then we don't have to freak out. I've had clients, they have a lot of shame because they've lost their connection, you know, or it's been taken away from them, or they've lost it, or they've screwed it up, you know, and it's like, no, it's still there. You could do some work to reactivate that for sure, you know, but maybe you just need to go a little further around the medicine wheel and it'll activate with your practice. So there's one other extension. I want to extend this also to relationships. Okay, that's how this came. That's how I remembered this story. I was in sharing circle last week, and I extended it to a relationship for one of the people in the circle. And so if you think about the sun in a relationship, we can start with a romantic relationship or a marriage. Okay, the sun is always there. Okay, the connection, the sweet connection that you have is always there. But if you're in a funk, or you're in a fight, or you're having a difficult time, whatever, you may not be able to access the sun. And so we think we've lost it. We've lost the magic. Or maybe some of the magical infatuation is worn off. We think we've lost the connection. The connection is still there. Okay, we just are not able to access it right now. Really makes a huge difference to just know that, to just know the connection of the marriage or the relationship is still there. We just are not able to access it right now. So sure, we can do some things to access it, and some of it may need to go around the medicine wheel of the marriage a little more, right? Same thing with other relationships. Maybe a relationship, you see this with parents in adolescence, or it's like, oh, I've lost the connection with my adolescent child. Or I really see it a lot in when there's a divorce and one of the parents, you know, maybe he's not trying to, or she's not trying to, but kind of leaks some negative things about the other one, and, you know, or kind of even, sometimes it's more nefarious than that. Sometimes they kind of turn the child against it. And I always get the client that, you know, oh, he's told the children some terrible things about me. It's like the connection is still there. Okay, even though your child thinks that you're that it was your fault that the divorce happened, and then you blew up the family, even though your child is mad at you or hasn't forgiven you. Just know the love and that connection is still there, and it may be that the child needs to go through some more things and to realize that, oh yeah, maybe maybe the person isn't such a terrible person. Maybe you're not such a terrible person. So that's just something to realize too. It's like trusting in the connection. Individually, it's trusting in the connection that you are connected to all of life. With the relationship, trusting in the connection of the relationship. And so then you cycle and you go around, you're aware of that connection, it's shining bright, and then other times, I'm not sure, it's not as straight, you can't feel the connection as much. So that is my video for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, and one other thing, actually, the whole idea of clearing the clouds that like Zacchaeus was doing, what a cool practice, right? That's meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, ceremony, smudging, whatever you do, it's really good way to view spiritual practice. It's like, oh, you're just removing the barriers and the clouds so your connection can shine true. So that is my video. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Memorial Day. We're moving toward Memorial Day. That's hard to believe. So as you go into the summer here, just remind yourself that the connection with life is always there. The connection with your loved ones is always there. And just remind yourself that and trust that it'll come back around again if you allow it. And I will see you in a week.